Welcome to DCU Worlds, and we have more news about DC, and there are rumors involving the DCU calendar for 2026, with a possible release of the Sgt. Rock movie being put as the next DCU film. But the rumors don't stop there. Remember that rumor involving the Plastic Man movie from director Aronofsky? Well, that rumor has resurfaced, and now they're saying this film will also be part of the DCU. Moreover, James Gunn also confirmed in a Twitter post in response to a fan that DC Studios will have a special opening for DC's Elseworlds projects. He also mentioned he is writing his next DCU project. Well, let's talk about all this because there's a lot to discuss. But before we start, don't forget to click the like button, comment below, and subscribe for more content like this. Also, follow our other social media, Instagram, and Threads. I'll keep you updated on this universe we love so much. All right, let's start talking about these rumors surrounding the Plastic Man movie. Honestly, I have no doubt that there is currently a project with Plastic Man at DC. These Plastic Man movie rumors started coming out back in February 2024, when DCU Leaks Insider reported that director Aronofsky was supposedly in talks with DC. When this news broke, everyone thought it was absurd because Aronofsky is indeed a very big director for superhero films. However, as time went on, all the rumors that Insider pointed out ended up confirming even the most unlikely ones like Sgt. Rock, which is now set to go into production. Now, this rumor of the Plastic Man movie has resurfaced with information from World of Real, stating that this Plastic Man film is still in development and that the initial plan is for it to be part of James Gunn's DCU. A significant thing to mention about this insider is that he doesn't have a great track record with DC. Most times he gets it wrong. But why am I bringing this information here? Because the information about the Plastic Man movie predates these insiders. It comes from Apocalyptic Horseman. So indeed, there's a possibility of this project actually happening within the DCU. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about this movie. Plastic Man is a very old character from DC. He has been around since the Golden Age, and usually when we see this character, it's in a more relaxed environment. So if you look at the animations or comics, and for example, in that animation in Justice League Action, I remember he had a really funny episode where he joined the Justice League, and if you look at it, this has always been the reality of Plastic Man, always with carefree and exaggerated adventures. He is a character with a mocking personality, always making jokes all the time. And that's why the first moment you see the news that director Aronofsky is going to make the Plastic Man movie, you realize it doesn't make much sense. After all, we're talking about the director of Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream. And when you think about Aronofsky, it seems very hard to believe he will direct a Plastic Man movie, especially for a character who can stretch and take any shape of his body. It just doesn't fit Aronofsky's style, especially considering this movie will be part of the DCU. But there was this other information on Twitter that I saw from some people talking about a really good comic of Plastic Man called Plastic Man No More. And look, guys, this is a story of Plastic Man that it's totally possible for Aronofsky to direct. So this is a Black Label story of Plastic Man. The comic story has a serious, tragic vibe, but at the same time is funny because of the character. He remains funny, but within a super serious context. But this comic, Plastic Man No More, is something you could easily use as a base and count on Aronofsky to direct this movie. Now, it's a movie that DC should be investing in. Honestly, no, because it's Plastic Man, and we're talking about a B-list character from DC. But within a more favorable context, I think it would be totally fine if they made a Plastic Man movie. And so, guys, I really like this character. He's always been recurring in stories, and I think he deserves to have a movie, but not right now. So far, we have one really big hero movie, which is Superman. We have Supergirl, who is also a big character from DC. And finally, we have these smaller projects. I feel there's an imbalance there. And that's why I think maybe it's a good time to have some sort of announcement from DCU. We had a rumor that in January this year, there could be some type of announcement from DC, like the announcement of Sgt. Rock's movie, but that still hasn't happened. Well, now I'm going to take this moment to talk about another news regarding Sgt. Rock's movie. Well, remember that rumor we talked about last week saying Sgt. Rock could be filmed this year? Well, that rumor now has developed, and now they're saying the movie might be released in May 2026, right on Memorial Day weekend. And this rumor came out of nowhere because Warner had already reserved May 26th for a mysterious DC film, but didn't say which one. And now people are speculating that Sgt. Rock's film will be shot this year, so maybe it can release next May. And so, guys, giving my opinion on this, it is indeed possible that this film could be released There is a viable time for it to happen. However, it might be very tight. But since it's a war film that may not require many special effects and its post-production isn't as long as Superman's film, for instance, and there's also this other issue of this film being released in May next year. It's a date that is very close to the Supergirl movie. And the Supergirl film, as we know, is scheduled to be released at the end of May. I don't know, but I think it's kind of crazy to do that. And I also want to remind you, that possibly the Avengers movie could release in May 2026, possibly because this movie hasn't been filmed yet. But I'm sure that Sergeant Rock's film will happen, and they should start filming this year itself. But I think it's quite difficult for this movie to be released in May next year. Now let's talk about this statement from James Gunn when he was asked by a fan who was questioning why Harley Quinn and Penguin don't have an opening from DC Studios. And James Gunn said the following: all DC television and film projects are now under DC Studios because Harley Quinn was developed long before us. We didn't think it was fair to put the DC Studio fanfare on there. On Penguin, which we had a small hand in developing, we have a different DC Studios and M at the end. We're currently working on the DC Studios Elseworlds opening. So he says that in Harley Quinn's animation, it was developed long before them, and that they had a small role in developing Penguin and so on. But the most important thing he mentions is that they are currently working on the opening that will only work for DC Elseworlds projects. And I know it seems like a somewhat insignificant thing to talk about the logo opening that appears before the movie starts. It's just that I think it's important for communication with the audience, like what are DCU projects and what are not, to make it clearer for the general public. For example, that animated puppet movie of the Robins will have in 2028. It's important to know if this is an Elseworlds project. I think it's crucial to have an opening stating it's Elseworlds because soon people might think these Robins will be part of the DCU, and then there would be confusion if Batman the Brave and the Bold comes out. So I think it's much simpler to have an opening for Elseworlds projects and clearly indicate they aren't part of the DCU. But I was very happy with this news because going forward, we will have organization at DC. Well, now let's talk about this latest news from James Gunn, who confirmed he's writing his next project. A fan asked him, how he's balancing post-production on Superman and Peacemaker and the whole DCU. And James Gunn replied, the bulk of my time is dealing with post-production on Superman and Peacemaker, but I'm also spending a fair amount of time pre-writing my next DC Studios project and watching dailies and offering ideas on the other projects. It's much less overwhelming than when I was directing. So he says, that he's writing his next project and such, but he also mentions that he's offering ideas on other projects. And I found that very cool from James Gunn. Like, he's there to share his ideas. And about his next project, I have no idea what it could be, but there was a rumor I saw a few days ago that said the project James Gunn is writing is the Booster Gold series. And that makes sense because the character fits James Gunn's style a lot, but we also have the authority, which I really want James Gunn to write and direct this movie. There's also Batman the Brave and the Bold, but I think James Gunn might leave that for another director, just not Andy Muschietti. But generally speaking, there's no way to know what project he's writing, but if it's one of those three I mentioned, I'm totally fine with it. We also have to remember that the second season of Creature Commandos has been confirmed already, but there's still no release date, so there might be a chance that James Gunn is writing the second season. But I don't think that makes sense because if he were writing it, he would have announced it already. So if he hasn't announced it, it might be a big project. It could be a movie or even a series. But again, there's no way to know what project he's writing about. I'm sure we'll have news soon. Well, guys, that's all I wanted to share with you. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment below, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.